by that day. Check page by page every entry and confirm that everything you see there was part of what transpired on that very day. I start with page 1109. 110, page 1111, 1111, page 1112, page 1113. Senator Kevin Chukwu, may you please move for the adoption of the rules and proceedings?
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Kevin Chukwu, representing Enugu East. I rise to move that the vote and proceedings of 13th November 2025 be so adopted.
Senator Banigo Hari, former Deputy Governor, Rivers State.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Deputy Wiki, can you second the motion?
Yes, sir, actually will. Thank you, Your Excellency. My distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dr. Ipalibo Banigo. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Kelvin Chukwu that the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 13th of November, 2025 be accepted and ratified as what obtained on that day. Thank you. I so support.
Those in favor of the motion move and seconded for the adoption of votes and proceedings of our last sitting say aye. Those against say nay. The votes and proceedings of Thursday, 13th day of November 2025 is hereby adopted. Announcement. I wish to acknowledge the presence of the Forum of Students Union Leaders, Joint Campus Council, Benue State Axis, who are here to examine or to observe our proceedings of today. They are here in our gallery. You are most welcome. We wish you a happy observation of our proceedings and happy stay in Abuja. You may wish to sit down. Birthday announcement. Distinguished colleagues, Saturday, the 15th November, day of November 2025, was the birthday of Senator Titus Tatengazam. Also, yesterday, Monday, the 17th day of November 2025, was the birthday of Senator Aderamodu Adeyemi Raphael. On behalf of the Senate, I wish the distinguished senators happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of staff and students of Intelligence Quotient Academy, Area 3, Abuja, who are here in our gallery to observe our proceedings of today. You are most welcome to the National Assembly, Senate, the Senate in particular. May God bless you. You may wish to sit down. Any petition?
Petition.
The minority whip. Senator Sita.
Thank you, Mr. President. Osita Ngu, I represent the good people of Enugu West. Mr. President, yet another petition from my constituents who are peace-loving and who only come here for peace and justice. Mr. President, this time around, this petition is from Comrade Pius Ani, and on behalf of the entire Udumechara Autonomous Community, against a police officer, CSP Nduwisi Anosike, and the petition is about intimidation, extortion, and harassment. They've done all possible things to curb it, but they think coming to this hallowed chamber will give them the justice they desire. Mr. President, it's not sub judice, and with your kind permission, may I lay the petition.
You may proceed to lay the petition on the table.
Thank you, sir.
The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. You may present your petition.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ekong Samson, Akwa Ibom South. I have a petition here by my constituent, by Udofia, complaining against Akko Gas Limited, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority, and NUPRC in respect of breaches of the PIA Act. Is not encumbered or ensnared by any legal encumbrance. Respectfully, I move to present this petition. Thank you.
Is not encumbered? No. Okay, you may wish to lay the petition on the table.
Thank you.
Senator Ekon Sampson, lay the petition on the table. The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks.
Petition.
Senator Friday Komboe.
Thank you, Excellency. A petition from one of my constituents, family, the Akenge family, that gave out their property to Savannah Bank. For many years, Savannah Bank left, and the NDIC have since taken over the activities of Savannah Bank, and the property is still there in the name of Savannah Bank from that time till now. And the family is so worried, and this petition is brought forward to address that. Mr. President, sir.
Is the matter before any court of law?
No, sir.
You may wish to lay the petition on the table. The petition refers to the Commission on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Senator Nelda Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelda Emerson, representing Edo South Senatorial District. This is a petition from one of my constituents, Mrs. Francisca Chukwu Lozonam Omerege, a retired superintendent of police. She complains that her pension has not been paid in full and that she has done everything within her powers to make sure that she gets paid, and she has not succeeded in doing so. And so she believes in this committee and therefore brought a petition for us to review. So, Mr. President, let me seek your indulgence to lay this petition for onward review.
Is it matter for any court of law?
No, Mr. President.
You may read it to lay the petition on the table.
Thank you.
The petition is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the first business of the day is presentation of a House bill tying the name of Senate Leader on Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 419. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Do you see 419? The Clerk of the Senate. Don't be scared. Read it, no problem.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Public Procurement Act Amendment being 2025 HB 419.
Thank you very much for that correction, Yes. Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 419. First reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the second business of the day is presentation of House Bill standing in the name of Chartered Institute of Cooperative Professionals of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2025 HB 603. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Cooperative Professionals of Nigeria, Establishment being 2025 HB 603. First reading.
Chartered Institute of Cooperative Professionals of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2025 HB 603. First reading taken. The Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the third business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Oyewuchi Ezenwa Francis on National Palm Produce Board, Establishment Bill 2025 SB 407. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Palm Produce Board, Establishment Bill 2025 SB 407. First reading.
National Palm Produce Board, Establishment Bill 2025 SB 407. First reading taken. The Leader.
Mr. President, the fourth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Issa Shuaib Lau on the pre-shipment inspection of export bill 2025 SB 657. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Pre-Shipment Inspection of Export Bill 2025 SB 657, first reading.
Pre-Shipment Inspection of Export Bill 2025 SB 657, first reading taken. The Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the fifth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Kakashi Lawan on the National Cooperative Society Regulatory Agency, Establishment Bill 2025 SB 957. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Cooperative Societies Regulatory Agency Establishment Bill 2025 SB 957, first reading.
National Cooperative Societies Regulatory Agency Establishment Bill 2025 SB 957, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the sixth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Abiru Mukail Adetokunbo on the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA, Amendment Bill 2025 SB 959. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFA, Amendment Bill 2025 SB 959, first reading.
Bank and Financial Institutions BOFIA Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 959, first reading taken. Leader.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the first order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senate Leader on the amendment of standing orders of Senate, pursuant to Order 109 of Senate Standing Order 2025 as amended. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion. Can I, sir? Amendments of our standing orders. Motion for presentation and consideration of the Senate Standing Order 2023 to accommodate new committees and enhance legislative practice. This motion is sponsored by Senator Bamidele Michael Okpeyemi, and I'm standing in for him. The Senate know that the standing order of the Senate serve as the principal procedural framework that guides the conduct of legislative business, the organizations of committee, and operations of the Senate. Also notes that emerging national realities, the new institutional developments, and creation of additional special purpose commissions necessitate the review of the amendment of existing standing order to ensure alignment with contemporary governance needs. Aware that several provisions of Standing Order 2023 require updating to reflect legislative best practice, enhance procedural clarity, and ensure effective committee oversight, especially in the light of new national commissions and administrative reforms. Recalls the need to harmonize the jurisdiction of certain Senate committees with their counterparts in the House of Representatives, particularly regarding the Committee on Federal Capital Territory, Area Council, and Auxiliary Matters, in line with his expanded mandate. Also recalls the need to uphold provisions relating to 1. Participation of senators-elect in the election of presiding officers. 2. Qualifications and ranking criteria for contesting presiding officers' position. 3. Rules on sitting times. 4. Permission for presiding officers and nominees to drink water during proceeding. 5. Criteria for suspension of senators and provisions on committee compositions and equitable geographical representation. Recognizes the establishment of named standing committees, including committees are North Central Development Committee, North West Development Committee, Southeast Development Commission, South-South Development Commission, Southwest Development Commission, Committee on Livestock and Development, and Committee on Reparations and Repatriations, and the need to formally provide for their jurisdictions and functions under Order 96 of the Standing Orders. Concerned that failure to amend the standing orders to accommodate these new committees and strengthen existing provisions may undermine effective legislative oversight and weaken the institutional capacity of the Senate, and convinced that updating the standing orders will enhance procedural consistencies, improve representation, and ensure the Senate is effectively structured to undertake the legislative and oversight responsibility in line with national needs and international best practice. Accordingly resolved into Committee of Whole to consider and approve the proposed amendments, and direct the Clerk Senate to reprint the Senate Standing Order with the new amendment. I so move, Mr. President.
Chief Whip.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. This amendment is very clear and unambiguous. It is res ipsa licuto. This amendment speaks for itself. It merely seeks to bring our rules in consonance with the realities of the creation of various committees and then the expanded mandate that we give to various committees, as well as guidelines for the suspension of senators when the need arises, as well as amending our rules to allow presiding officers and our visitors alike to drink water in view of the fact that they constantly engage in speaking during the conduct of our proceedings. So as I said earlier, this amendment is very clear and unambiguous, and it doesn't need much ado, and therefore ask or invite my colleagues to support this bill, the passage of this motion with the spirit of light. Thank you.
Okay, leader, can you move so that we move to the committee of the whole to consider report? Minority leader, move. Second. Where is it? Where is it? Majority leader. The rule does not say we should go to committee of whole to make this amendment. We should do it in the plenary. So all these things that I've said about, talked about now, simple majority will suffice. The president of the Senate shall within 7 working days. Okay, let me start reading from here. Mode of amending the rules. Any senator desiring to amend any part of the rules or adding any clause shall give notice. Okay, well, not that one. The president of the Senate shall within 7 working days of the receipt of this notice cause the amendment to be printed and circulate to members. Thereafter it shall be printed in the other paper of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that clause 3 remain part of the standing orders as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Qualification of presiding officers. Those in support that clause 2 should remain part of the bill as reflected here, or should remain part of our standing order, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Nomination of senators to serve as presiding officers in the orders as amended. Those in support say aye. Yes, distinguished Senator Goje.
Mr. President, this amendment is not necessary because I have my reasons. To put,
I didn't hear you.
It's not. I don't accept it because I have my reasons.
No, I said I didn't hear you, but you said you have your reasons.
I am opposed to this proposal.
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
You can
I don't know why.
You can press.
Because this section is to do with nomination when you have a fresh session of a parliament. When the Senate comes and you want to nominate a principal officer of the Senate, use this ranking, which means people who are holding office now or who have held office before, as Senate President or Deputy Senate President or principal officers, automatically have an edge over anybody who wants to contest for any office, no matter his experience, no matter his ranking. For example, if a former Senate President was in the Senate for 2 times, somebody has been in the Senate for 4 or 5 times, automatically the man for 5 times is not qualified because he's not former Senate President. The same thing, Deputy Senate President, or even principal officers. So I believe this number 1, 2, and 3 should go to allow, once you come fresh as senators elect, everybody is the same, to be based on the number of times people come to the Senate, so that there will be fresh, there will be level playing field. Otherwise, some people will be automatically edged out if you do this. In any case, Mr. President, it has been like that in the Senate standing order of the Senate since 1999, that the ranking is first on the number of times a senator comes to the Senate. Second, people coming from the House of Reps, coming to the Senate. Then thirdly, fresh members of the Senate. So, Mr. President, I propose an amendment. Mr. President, I propose an amendment that 1, 2, and 3 should go, and then we'll start from number 4, then going down to number 6. So, what is unnecessary to have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. Thank you, Mr. President.
The problem you have there is number 4. Number 4 says senators returning based on times of number of times reelected. That will mean that nobody will be Senate President if there is somebody who has been elected 7 times, and the party is proposing somebody who is only elected 2 times. You understand? So even number 4 should go, in my opinion. No, if not, Senator Yao, if number 4 should remain, it means you are the only one that will be Senate President because you have been here as a landlord.
Hello.
I'm going to let's put it this way. Since we have objection, I think what we need to do, Senator Wamako, we would need to suggest what should be. Because, for instance, senators returning based on number of times re-elected. It means that probably senators from 1999 will have will be an advantage
over senators from 2007. So I think, Senator Wamako, you can rephrase it. You can rephrase it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay.
Mr. President.
Sorry. Point of order. Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to raise point of order 109, and if the President of the Senate permits, I shall read the point of order.
Yes, proceed.
Mr. President, point order 109 states, mode of amending the rules. Any senator desiring to amend part of the rules or adding any new clause shall give notice of such amendments in writing to the President of the Senate, giving details of the proposed amendments. 2. The President of the Senate shall within 7 working days of the receipt of the notice cause the amendments to be printed and circulated to members. Thereafter, it shall be printed in the other paper of the Senate. Mr. President, I want to seek clarification, therefore, whether we have followed this rule or whether there is an exception to the rule, in which case we may go ahead. Otherwise, I think, Mr. President, we should tarry a little bit and follow the rules as stated here.
Distinguished colleagues, the minority leader has referred us to Order 109 of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended. Okay, it is said that the document was circulated in March this year. Okay, but however, what is written here is that any senator desiring to amend any part of the rules or adding any new clause shall give notice of such amendments in writing to the President of the Senate, giving details of the proposed amendments. The President of the Senate shall, within 7 working days of the receipt of the notice, cause the amendments to be printed and circulated to members. Thereafter, it shall be printed in the other paper of the Senate. If we have not followed this, the next page, the mover or movers of the amendments shall be allowed to explain in detail the proposed amendments. Thereafter, the Senate shall decide by simple majority votes whether the amendments should be considered or rejected. So what we are engaging in an exercise in futility, unless we can have somebody moving for amendment of any section of the rules and then going ahead to print them around. So I think the point of order of the minority leader is upheld. Therefore, further discussion on this is suspended. Let me if there are distinguished colleagues, if there are issues inside that are very germane, they could be excised. Somebody could still take it out and make it available in line with our rules for us to discuss in future. But as it is now, I think we should suspend everything. You understand? But if there are some issues, for instance, I've seen the development commissions that we created. we need to reflect them in the, and, sorry? Senator Sani Musa, were you making a point? Were you making a point? No, I'm trying to explain that because it's bulky, I haven't gone through it, but if there are things here that you feel strongly should be reflected in our rules, you can. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. You want me to come?
Distinguished colleagues, correspondence from Mr. President. Correspondence from Mr. President. This is actually for noting.
Take your seat, please. Distinguished Senator Joel, distinguished Senator Bilbis. Order, please. Take your seat.
Distinguished colleagues, this is correspondence from Mr. President, but I think it's just for noting. The clerk of the Senate, please listen. The first correspondence was dated 10th of November 2025. Transmission of the National Cocoa Management Board Establishment Bill 2025 for consideration. National Cocoa Management Board Establishment Bill 2025 for consideration. The establishment of the board will enhance effective coordination of the cocoa value chain, improve standards, and strengthen Nigeria's participation in the global cocoa economy. This was dated 10th day of November with the attachment. So this is noted. However, we have a further correspondence on the same issue, dated 12th November. Transmission of the Cocoa Management Board Establishment Bill 2025 for consideration. I write to refer to the Cocoa Management Board Establishment Bill 2025 earlier transmitted to the Senate. This is 2 days after. And to request the distinguished Senate President and distinguished Senators to kindly stand down legislative actions on the bill. This is to enable further consultations. While I thank the Senate for its usual cooperation, please accept, distinguished Senate President and distinguished Senators, the assurances of my highest consideration. So this is stood down in line with the presidential request. But it was also important for us. It was important for us to reflect the two letters in our votes in order to, yes, for future reference. Noted. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, in order to carry out further works on our first order, I stand to move a motion that this order be temporarily stepped down. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion ably moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
I continue.
So the money stood down. Proceed.
Mr. Senate President, the second order of the day is second reading of University Teaching Hospital Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 908. Distinguished Senator will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 8th October 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Abamoro Patrick to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Abamoro.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is a lead debate on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Board Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 908. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill was read for the first time in this revered chamber on the 8th of October 2025. The one and sole purpose of the bill is to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Board, etc. Act to include the Federal University of Health Sciences Otukpo Teaching Hospital, which is already in existence and operational. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as we are well aware, the Federal University of Health Sciences Otukpo is a premier institution dedicated to training healthcare professionals in Benue State and Nigeria. By extension, the university's mission is to produce high-skilled and competent medical practitioners who can serve the healthcare needs of our nation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the National Health Act 2014, Section 10, establishes the framework for teaching hospitals in Nigeria. Specifically, Section 10.1 states that, and I quote, "A teaching hospital shall be established by an act of the National Assembly," and this implies that without an act of the National Assembly, a teaching hospital does not have the legal backing to operate. Thus, the reason for the bill. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I urge you all to support this bill and pass it accordingly. Thank you for your kind audience.
Senator Ashiru.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I stand to support this very noble bill for University of Teaching Hospital Act to be amendment to include for Otukpo. This bill is very straightforward and is a beautiful bill, and there's great need to do this. I support that we should do this thing quickly so that the hospital can go on.
Looks like, yes, the student Senator Victor Ome, governorship maker.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Victor Ome, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to lend my support to the second reading of this bill for the establishment of Federal University of Health Sciences Teaching Hospital in Otukpo in Benue State. Mr. President, it is clear that any university that is offering learning in medicine, any university that has a medical college should have a teaching hospital, because the teaching hospital supports the academics in the medical college. It is in the teaching hospital that the students are groomed through clinical studies to be able to get properly trained as medical doctors. Any university that has a medical college without a teaching hospital is still not fit to function as a medical college, because this teaching hospital will provide the support for training of doctors to be qualified, to practice as medical doctors in Nigeria. So without belaboring the issue, the Federal University of Health Sciences in Otukpo, being an institution that will offer courses in medicine, should be in a position to have a teaching hospital to complement clinical training. I so support it, and I believe that the bill is quite apt in the circumstance. I so support, Mr. President, that the bill should go for second reading. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody opposed to this bill? So in the absence of which, I'll put the question. Those who support that this bill be read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards etc. Act and for related matters 2025 SB 908. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards etc. Act and for related matters 2025. Second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary Institutions to report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Let me thank very distinguished Senator Abramoro, and also I thank all the distinguished senators who contributed, and particularly paragraph 3 of his submission is very germane. He's saying that that the sole purpose of that bill is just to amend the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards etc. Act to include the Federal University of Health Sciences Oturukpo Teaching Hospital, which is already in existence and operational. I think this is just to ensure legality and formality. So I thank you for your contributions and to the debates, and I wish the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to good luck in working on it and reverting to the Senate within the next 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, the third order of the day, the second reading of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2025 SB 844. The distinguished senator will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 12 November 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Musa Mohammed Sani to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Sani Musa.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. I stand to lead the debate I rise to move that the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, Bill 2025 be read for the second time. This will seek to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act of 1959 and reenact a modern, robust, and forward-looking legal framework that reflects the current economic realities of our nation and global best practices. The bill was read for the first time on Tuesday, 27 May 2025. MOFI was established 65 years ago as the federal government's investment holding company. However, under the existing act, MOFI operates merely as a passive custodian of government assets. It lacks the necessary authority, governance structure, and institutional capacity to actively manage and grow public investments. The result is that the Federation has continued to lose significant revenue due to underutilized assets, opaque ownership structures, and weak oversight mechanisms. The bill seeks to transform MOFI from a dormant custodian into a strategic, professional, and transparent institution capable of driving national wealth creation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill seeks to replace the outdated 1959 legislation with a modern statute aligned with contemporary investment governance standards and global best practices. Establish a competent and professional board of directors with clear oversight obligations, supported by mandatory annual external audits and transparent reporting. Empower MOFI to actively manage government assets, invest in both domestic and international markets, enter public-private partnership, and utilize innovative financial instruments such as securitization, bond issuance, and special purpose vehicles. Ensure that all MOFI investments comply with environmental, social, and governance standards, guaranteeing ethical, sustainable, and responsible investment decisions, and channels investments into high-impact sectors like technology, agriculture, manufacturing, infrastructure, and other growth-driven areas, thereby reducing reliance on oil revenues and generating new economic opportunities. The MOFI Act of 1959 is clearly no longer fit for purpose. It suffers from a narrow and outdated mandate, weak and unclear governance structure, restrictive investment authority, limited transparency and accountability, no statutory requirement for reporting, audits, or performance evaluation. These weaknesses undermines Nigeria's ability to generate value from public assets and prevent MOFI from contributing meaningfully to economic growth. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, around the world, strong public investment institutions have transformed national wealth. In Singapore, Singapore's Temasek Holdings, valued at over $382 billion, operates with an independent board, full public disclosures, and diversified investment portfolios. In Norway, the Sovereign Wealth Fund manages over $1.4 trillion, is renowned for transparency, ethical guidelines, and rigorous parliamentary oversight. This bill draws inspiration from such global models, adapting the principles, not copying the forms, so that MOFI can meet international standards in governance, transparency, and performance. Most importantly, this reform will help Nigeria transition from dependence on volatile oil revenues towards a diversified, asset-powered economy. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Ministry of Finance Incorporated MOFI Bill 2025 represents a bold step towards modernizing Nigeria's public investment architecture. By reenacting this 65-year-old law, we are strengthening governance, enhancing transparency, maximizing national assets, and propositioning MOFI to drive sustainable wealth creation for generations to come. I humbly urge my distinguished colleagues to support this second reading of this bill and allow it to proceed to the committee stage for further technical refinement and stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Dismissed Senator Yaya.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity. I am Yahya Abdullahi, representing the good people of Kebbi North. Mr. President, I rise first to second the motion on this second reading and also support this second reading very, very, very earnestly.
it is high time that this institution, which holds federal government's investments and interests, to save it from its current opaque status. The way in which these assets are managed leaves a lot to be desired. The issues that have been raised by the sponsor of this bill are very germane, central, and important. The only thing I can add to what he has already presented in this well-presented reading is that maybe by the time the Senate in its wisdom agrees with the second reading and it goes to the committee, I think it will be very, very important for us to consider putting the MOFI together with the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is currently in operation under the same legislation, so that we don't have the two institutions competing in holding federal government assets. Mr. President, with this short presentation, I would like to extend my very, very firm support for the second reading of this bill. I so submit.
Dismissed, Senator Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East Senatorial District. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I would like to also lend my voice to support of this lead debate on the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Amendment Bill. My support derives from one, I think this this has been long overdue, because the law that we have in place today was enacted during the time of Tafawa Balewa as the Prime Minister of this country, which is over 65 years ago, just like the presenter, my dear brother Senator Sonny Musa said. And of course, if you read the extant bill as it is today, it is just about a quarter of a page, which doesn't really give explicit understanding as to how our assets and investment of this country should be. So as it is today, I think it's about time that we encourage MOFI to become more like give us a proper database of the value of all of the investments that we have in this country that are scattered all over the entire federation. And this is important, just like my colleagues had said, in order to get the best of value and efficiency out of it. And more importantly too, I also support the idea of putting a proper governance structure to support MOFI on an ongoing basis. So with these few remarks, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I fully support that this bill is adopted for second reading. Thank you, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Senator Nengi.
Mr. President, my name is Dr. Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, this is a very highly remarkable landmark legislation. Mr. President, 1959, if you take a roll call amongst us, very few people were born before 1959 here present. And this is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So what I'm saying, for 65 years, this Federal Ministry Incorporated Act becomes almost 66 years, has not been modified to catch the intendment of the Incorporated Act of 1959. It is therefore, in my opinion, becomes very imperative that this kind of legislation, committees, and particularly chairmen of committees, must peruse through their acts and see whether or not various legislation are apt and timeous. This legislation is apt, timeous, and very, very rewarding, because once you allow legislation of this nature to take a personal disposition in the sense that administrators will use their whims and caprices to effect changes. But once you make it a law, it is therefore imperative that everybody, including the administrators, must obey the law. And the law is not just here for us. This particular draft resolution will be taken to the general public for debate and see whether it is meritorious enough, and therefore it is important that we all key into this resolution and make it possible for the bill to be passed a second reading. Finally, I will commend my younger brother Sani Musa for coming up with this legal framework. I think it is important. At the end of the day, it will pay off. It will serve Nigeria's interests, and I so submit, Mr. President.
Yes, distinguished Senator Mangun.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Well, my contribution is to give muscular expression to the submissions made by Senator Yahaya to the effect that there is a need to amend the relevant laws in order to bring the operations of the Sovereign Wealth Fund and the Ministry of Finance incorporated together to be one and the same, because as it is, it's a duplication of functions. There is a need to bring them together to make them in consonance with international best practice and get value for money. With regard to the amendment of this law, the 1959 law is outdated and opaque, and therefore there is a need to amend it to bring it in tandem with modern realities or modern realities of economic function. Against this backdrop, I support the second reading of this bill. Thank you.
It's very appropriate. Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody that is opposed to this bill being read a second time? Professor War.
Much, Mr. Senate President, my very distinguished colleagues, my name is Jimo Folosho Ibrahim, representing Ondo South. Mr. Senate President, sir, I discovered something very fundamental about this amendment, something that will give integrity to the 10th Senate. The fact that only Minister of Justice is recognized by Nigeria Constitution. Even the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. There is nowhere in the Constitution of Nigeria where we have Ministry of Finance. So the amendment is very, very imperative. And we have to work, as a group collaboratively to ensure that other ministries beyond Ministry of Finance are not even operating illegally because they don't have constitutional recognition. The Constitution doesn't know them. The only minister in Nigeria recognized by the Constitution is Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The Minister of Finance, whether incorporated or not incorporated, or the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. As a Senate, these are the lacunas that we need to quickly fix in our constitutional development. We cannot be sitting here as senators, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, working so hard
the way we are working and still have serious lacunas in our constitution, we need to work very, very fast and assiduously. And like Senator Magulu said, it has to be in the tendium, with the modern realities. So the point I'm making is that not only that this all important lead debate is critical to our development, I want to say that the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. The Minister of Finance is not in the Constitution. Minister of Agric is not in the Constitution. And we have Senate Committee on Agriculture. Ministry of Transportation is not in the Constitution. In fact, we must sit down now and harmonize. How many ministries do we have? And all the ministries must be given constitutional face and constitutional value. They must be in the Constitution. How can you say that we are operating as a federation, with 250 million people, with all the constitutional amendments, and we have only one minister, only one ministry is noted in our Constitution? I challenge anyone to tell me where in our Constitution that Minister of Finance is even mentioned. It's not there. So if it's not there, why are we sitting there? We are sitting here as intelligent people, well-to-do people here, well-read, experience. They must help us to solve that constitutional lacuna so as to make the executive efficient and effective. In fact, Mr. Senate President, how do you continue to budget for ministries that are not in the Constitution? Is it not illegal? You keep giving budget allocation, appropriation to various ministries, Ministry of Sport, Youth Development, Ministry of Defense. Even we are talking about security today. Ministry of Defense is not even in the Constitution. And we bring people here to this Senate to come and clear them for the purpose of appointment into those ministries that are not constitutionally recognized. So we keep come to say an act of parliament establish Ministry of Finance, an act of parliament establish Ministry of Defense, an act of parliament establish Ministry of Sport, just because they are created by executive fiat and executive order. So we have to put a full stop into this and ensure that we harmonize how many ministries are we supposed to have, how many ministries are in existence now, and give them constitutional backing so that we can be comfortably, we can sit down here and do our appropriation to those ministries after we give them constitutional recognition. So conclusively, Mr. Senate President, you have been very busy. All I'm saying is that we must go and give face value to those ministries. If we're able to do that, we'll make history that since 1965, since 1922, under the Cleveland Constitution, to 1946 of Latitude, to 51 of Maffasin, to 1960 independence, to 1963 Republican, to 1979 up to the present day, Minister of Finance is not known by any of this constitution. Minister of Agric is not known by any of this constitution. So the summary of my argument is that you cannot have a ministry that is not constitutionally recognized. Minister of Defense is not in the constitution. This is a big lacuna. And Minister of Works that is collecting almost 80% of the money is not in the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, if we don't take action, somebody can even approach court and say to stop allocation to all of this. Consider point of order. Put all of this. So what I'm trying to say, when I conclude, is that
constitutional point of order. Constitutional point of order. There is constitutional point of order.
Constitutional point of order. Yes, I'll be glad to pause.
Mr. President, I'm coming under order 147. There shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the President. So the Constitution has taken care and has empowered the President to have ministries. He doesn't, the Constitution doesn't, but ministers are to administer ministries. So it's provided the Constitution. So I therefore want to draw his attention that his assertion that ministries are not provided in the Constitution
is not correct. Is not correct. So, and the president can have as many ministry as he so wishes. The constitution has given him the latitude to create ministries in order to a kind of administer the country. So this means that my very good friend and brother is talking about, yeah, the president is given the latitude, the freedom, the liberty to create any ministry he so wishes.
Thank you.
So I also, so therefore, I call on Mr. President to rule my friend out of order. I so submit.
Well, the Constitution, the ground norm, and here it says Section 1471 is very clear. There shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the president. It is no ambiguity. So your point of order is sustained, and I hope the professor of law has noted.
No. Let me conclude my point, sir.
Professor of
I
law.
agree. But what I'm saying, let me conclude. I was talking before. And let me conclude my point. My contribution.
Conclude.
Yes, sir. What I'm saying is that the president have power to create ministries and offices. Not sorted out. But when they are created, they must be recognized by the constitution. The same constitution recognizes office of attorney general and minister of justice as the only minister recognized by the constitution. When the president has done his own job, the legislature must support the president to constitutionalize and institutionalize it in the document. This is important, and that's the point I'm making. And this point is very important. Okay,
before somebody opens this time, not the constitution, but our standing orders to let you know that you cannot speak twice on the same issue. So I will want to appeal to the professor of war to take his seat. Thank you. Thank you for complying.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, sir. I'm not ruled out.
This is Senator Mustafa Salio. Just a minute. Let Mustafa say something.
The Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Salio Mustafa, representing Kwara Central. Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, in supporting this well-crafted amendment, I would want to add that when considering it clause by clause, we must be very cautious of how we want to give MOFI an entire responsibility of government assets. We must be cautious because the Ministry of Finance Incorporated faces a fundamental challenge as it is rapidly acquiring and centralizing ownership of wide range assets. So I think in also supporting this, we should try and make sure that every ministry and agency that own these assets originally must have a proper synergy with the MOFI to have a good corporate governance structure, because at the end of the day, it is the corporate governance structure that will guide and help to make sure these assets that are underutilized are put in proper use, so that we don't throw away the mother ministries and just create another entity on its own that will manage this thing solely. From day one, most of these ministries and agencies that own this asset have a fundamental understanding of what they wanted to achieve with it. So when we are creating a new entity for MOFI, we must make sure the old entities synergize with them so as to have a proper corporate governance. If not, we will be creating another monster in the house that might not be able to manage these assets properly. Because at the end of the day, it is about utilization and bringing out value for these assets. So I want to submit
at this point and support this able crafted bill.
Constitutional point of order. Yes, thank you for your submission.
Section 150 of the Constitution. Section 100 of the 50 of the Constitution clearly states, though you have ruled on the matter, because in the course of the submissions of the Professor of War, he copiously mentioned that the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice is mentioned in the Constitution. He kept on making reference to that why is it that other ministers are not mentioned in the Constitution? The office of the Attorney General was specifically mentioned in Section 150 because it is combined together, Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The Attorney General is the chief law officer of the state, of the country. And that is why the name of the Attorney General was specifically mentioned under Section 150 of the Constitution. That is what I want to bring to the notice of the Senate. It's not as a result of bias or anything.
Distinguished colleagues.
That's why I said though he has ruled on it.
Yes, I have, but your point is noted. Distinguished colleagues, is anybody opposed to this bill being read a second time? Okay, therefore I put the question. Those who support that this bill being read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act and reenact the Ministry of Finance Incorporated 2025 to make provisions for a modern, transparent, and professionally driven framework and for related matters 2025 SB 844, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act and reenact the Ministry of Finance Incorporated 2025 to make provision for a modern, transparent, and professionally driven framework for related matters 2025, second reading taken. The Committee on Finance will handle this, so this is referred to that committee to report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Just let me hear from the Leader of the Senate, then I come.
The repository of college of Libya for many years.
Mr. President, the fourth order of the day is presentation and consideration of the reports of Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions in respect of one petition from Kalu Jonah on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, over alleged unjustified delay, frustration, disruption, and stop order on MT Rania wreck removal contract in Kirikiri Waterways, Lagos State. 2. Petition from Ishola Rukayat Ajoke, a master warrant officer of Nigerian Air Force, against Nigerian Air Force over alleged high-handedness against her by Air Force. And number 3, petition from Ebeute Eskaya of Aneta Akpan and Co. on behalf of Mr. Joseph Idogesit Akpan against the management of National Council of Arts and Culture for wrongful and unlawful disengagement of Mr. Joseph Idogesit Akpan from service by NCAC in 2027. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Neda Bernard to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Emmanuel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Neda Emmanuel, representing Edo South Senatorial District, Chairman Standing Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition. May Senate do receive the report of the petition from Kalu Jonah on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways, and the petition of Ishola Rukayat Ajoke, a master servant warrant of Nigerian Air Force against the Nigerian Air Force. The third petition, Mr. President, of Anete Akpan, we will step down for further considerations because the report is not complete. So, Mr. President, I crave your indulgence to move that these petitions be accepted.
Yes, distinguished Senator Blank.
Okay, sir. Yeah. No, it's not this one. It's a different thing. The President of the Senate, our leader, my distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dicket Plan. I represent the good people of Plateau Central. I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Bernard Neda that the that the Senate do receive of the three petitions with commendations. I wish to commend the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions for always on top of our petitions. The fact that that committee normally have time to sit on petitions brought by us, by the public, it gives a lot of hope to the voiceless Nigerians that have complained. So on behalf, I wish that we need to commend that committee chaired by Senator Bernard Neda, because the voices and petitions of people
so
are
you are seconding the motion
and commending.
No, you are seconding the motion, yes, that the Senate should receive and the report, consider, while at the same time stepping down,
commending the committee for a job well done. I so second.
No, you are seconding the motions.
Yes, sir.
That the Senate should receive and consider the reports from the committee and public petitions, while stepping down the report number 3.
Yeah, I am seconding.
Yes,
I'm seconding.
He moved 2 motions.
Yeah,
but stepping down
the third one,
the item
3.
Item 3.
Yeah,
of the report.
Of the report, yes, sir.
That you seconded that.
I'm seconding that.
Distinguished colleagues, the report as read for submission to the Senate for consideration by distinguished Senator Neda, and stepping down the report for consideration on item 3 has been seconded by distinguished Senator Plan. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You hold the one that has been stepped down.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, again, Senator Neda Imason, representing Edo South Senatorial District, Chairman Senate Committee on Ethics, Privilege, on a petition from Mr. Kalu Jonah on behalf of Pro Forma Projects and Services Limited against national frustration, disruption, and stop work order on the Runia wreck removal contract in Kirikiri waterways of my constituents, Kalu Jonah, who wrote on behalf of Pro Forma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways Authority over alleged unjustified delays, frustration, disruption, and stop work order on Runia wreck removal contract in Kirikiri waterways. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, petition was received, having invited the petitioner, Mr. Kalu Jonah, and the respondent, National Inland Waterways Authority. Testimonies, oral and written, were received by the parties. Petitioner Kalu Jonah stated as follows: that Pro Forma Projects and Services, a Nigerian registered limited liability company specialized in removing wrecks, derelicts, and obstructions from inland waterways.
The Distinguished Senator and Chairman of the committee, please just go straight into findings and recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. President. The kernel of the issue is that Pro Forma company followed the due process, that somewhere in the performance of that duty, a stop order was given to them by NIWA because another company showed up to say they own the ship.
You're not happy with the way...
The three parties were before us, and having listened to them, we observed as follows: that there was a valid contractual agreement between National Inland Waterways and Pro Forma Projects, and that the due process was followed by the Pro Forma contractors, and that the third party that showed up had not been able to convince the committee that they indeed own the ship, because we asked them to show proof which they couldn't show. And therefore, we recommended, it's our recommendation that the Senate commend the National Inland Waterways Authority for recalling Pro Forma Projects and Services Limited back to site to resume the removal of wreck empty Runaya at Kirikiri waters in Lagos in accordance with the wreck empty Runaya removal contractor agreement between the two entities. That the Senate do direct Renotech Limited to stop further interference in the empty Runaya wreck removal. They do direct the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate on this matter is complied with by the National Inland Waterways and the Renotech Limited. Conclusion: we thank the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, for these rare opportunities for us to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President. Now the second petition, Mr.
No,
President.
let's finish with this first one, then we call it to go on this one. Is there any person that has any comment on this first petition? Nobody. Okay. So, recommendation 1, that the Senate do commend the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, for recalling pro forma projects and services limited back to site to resume the removal of the wreck MT Raniya at Kirikiri Waters, Lagos, in accordance with the wreck. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate do direct Ronetic Limited to stop further interference in the MT Raniya wreck removal contract between the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, and Messrs. Proforma Projects and Services Limited. Those in support of recommendation 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the Senate do direct the committee. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So first, we thank you for a wonderful job and painstaking investigation, and we do hope that they will comply with, NIWA will comply with what we have just done, and we also thank NIWA for going back to its contractual agreements, because agreement is an agreement, and therefore is bound to be obeyed and is legally binding. So this is in compliance with the laws of the nation. So thank you, and thank your committee for a wonderful job. Go to the next one.
The second petition, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is that of Mrs. Ishola Rukiyat Ajoke, a master's warrant officer of the Nigerian Air Force, against the Nigerian Air Force over her alleged high-handedness against the Nigerian Air Force. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is a matter of master warrant officer who also had a husband that was an Air Force officer but died, not in service, left with a son. According to the petitioner, she had challenges in trying to raise the child herself and her duties because she was posted from Ibadan to Maiduguri, and her son was already in school in Ibadan. And so she had difficulty moving from one place to another. And as a result, she was termed AWOL, that's away without leave from her duties. Persistence of that, she was now declared a deserter. She appeared before us, and we also invited the Nigerian Air Force to appear, which they did. Having listened to both parties, it became very clear, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that the petitioner, who also petitioned that the husband's insurance, life insurance, was not paid or is not being paid by the Nigerian Air Force, and that the son was entitled to scholarship because of the death of her officer husband. But according to the evidence we received, it became obvious to us that his son was not entitled to such a scholarship because the husband did not die on duty. However, given the circumstances, special circumstance of her case, and the son that she's saddled with, the committee recommends as follows: that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to follow up and ensure the payment of the insurance claim of his deceased personnel warrant officer Olawale Taiwo Daramola, husband of the petitioner, to his family to ameliorate the hardship being faced by the family. 2, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to compassionately, we ask this on the ground of compassion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to capture the only son of the late personnel One, Officer Olawale Taiwo Daramola for payment of his school fees from its service. Considering her emotional situation and the number of years she has put in service, this is our recommendation. And we thank the President and the distinguished colleagues for this opportunity once again to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. SAS.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I write to second this motion and to also provide some little context because the petitioner is a constituent from my senatorial district. Here is a couple who decided to serve the nation, and the two of them joined the Nigerian Air Force. 9 years ago, the husband died, leaving behind a child, a product of the marriage. Because of the tradition in the military, the widow, who was also still in service, was posted across different places. The son was in Ibadan. She was posted to Maiduguri, from Maiduguri to some other places. Under the trauma of the emotion of losing the husband, or also want to take care of the child, she couldn't honor the posting a couple of times, and she was declared a deserter. Worse still, the pension of the late husband, who died 9 years ago, has not been paid. The Air Force is also not paying for the school fees of the child, and yet the woman has been declared on her wall as a deserter. Double jeopardy. While we recognize the need for the military to enforce discipline, and we must salute the military because that's the profession she signed up for. But in this circumstance, we are pleading that the military should temper justice with mercy, considering the fact that the two of them, both the husband and the wife, elected to serve in the military, and the husband has died 9 years ago. His entitlement have not been paid. In the course of taking care of the child, the wife was also declared a deserter. While recognizing the military discipline and the regulations, I plead on behalf of this woman, as has been recommended here, for three things. Number one, for the military to please hasten the process of paying the entitlement and the pension of the deceased husband 9 years after. All of us will know that what that pension could have been 9 years ago and what the value will be now. Secondly, to also plead with military, whatever the rules, to ensure that the only product of this marriage, they pay the school fees. And finally, the woman may not even be able to work in the military again. But rather than declare her a deserter, we are pleading that they should retire honorably, so that she could now take care of the child and also have a fond memory of the husband and the country she had decided to serve. These are recommendations of the committee, and these are also pleas from here, from the constituents to the military authorities, to temper justice with mercy and let this one move on in life and live some decent life. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Thank you for your submission, and thank you, the chairman of the committee, for a job well done. This is not something we should debate. The military and quite unfortunate, we sympathize with the family for the loss of the husband, and we sympathize with the child. She was declared a war absent without lawful authority, and because she was taking care of a child. You know, when you sign up with the rules. So we will not concern ourselves so much with that. Rather, we will look at the aspect of compassion and plea. Have not been paid, the death benefits and all that, and having worked for 24 years, that we should appeal that those allowances be paid, and they should also consider the child on compassionate grounds in terms of school fees and all. But I think we should be silent on whether the mother should be recalled or otherwise, because the military has its own rules. So, distinguished colleagues, let us look at the recommendations. If there's anything to amend, we amend. But recommendation 1, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to follow up and ensure the payment of the insurance claim of the deceased personnel, Warrant Officer Olawale Taiwo Daramola, husband of the petitioner, to the family to ameliorate the hardship being faced by the family. Those in support of this recommendation say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate Olawale Taiwo Daramola for payment of his school fees, considering the fact that the child's late father's insurance claim has not been paid since his death in 2016. Again, this is a plea to the military on compassionate grounds. Those in support of this plea, as contained in recommendation 2, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to retire the petitioner, Warrant Officer Ishola Rukayat Ayoke, honorably from its service, considering her emotional situation and the number of years she put into the service of the Air Force, 24 years.
Amendment.
Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the indulgence again. Again, as I spoke earlier on, recognizing the fact that the military do have their internal rules and regulations, and that's what you sign on for. I think rather than make this item 3 a directive, let's just also use the word compassionate, just like we have done for the previous one, so that it is at their discretion and we can therefore play with them rather than enforce it, so that we also don't end up creating a culture of indiscipline within the military. So if therefore, may I crave your indulgence to modify this recommendation 3. To amend it.
While you are consulting, can I hear from the former Permanent Secretary Defense, distinguished Senator Babangida?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Babangida Hussaini, Senator representing Jigawa Northwest. I think this particular prayer should be stepped down for now in deference to the harmonized terms and conditions of service of the military, HTACOS. It is very important for us to recognize every institution of government has its own. Is for us to step this prayer down and consult some more, and also marry it with the harmonized terms and conditions of service as it applies to the armed forces of Nigeria. I so move, sir.
Yes, the motion has been moved. The Deputy Senate President.
Barrow Jibrin Kano North. I stand to second the motion, ably moved by Senator Babangida Hussaini. I so second.
So, colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that prayer 3 be stepped down. For the ayes have it. So let me thank the Senior Senator Neda and his committee. Additional? Oh, okay, proceed.
Abdul Ningi, Bauchi Central. My additional prayer is that the Committee of Legislative Compliance is hereby directed to follow up. Even though this is the work of the committee, but if you leave it like this, it becomes open-ended. Compliance of the resolution of ethics and privilege is of utmost importance. So legislative compliance should follow up to the resolution of all the prayers.
Any seconder? Yes, the Senior Senator Binus Yaro.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Binus Yaro,
Adamawa South.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, additional prayer has been moved and seconded that the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance be charged with the additional responsibility of following up on the resolutions of the Senate today. Those in support of this say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you for distinguished Senator Nengi. I think it's very important that we don't just leave it open-ended. We would like the two on compassionate grounds, and the other one is the right of the deceased to receive his insurance claims. And we are urging the Air Force to ensure that that is done, and then on compassionate grounds to see to the school fees of the lone child that was left behind by the deceased that served meritoriously for over 24 years in the Nigerian Air Force. So I thank all of us for looking into this, and I particularly thank the Committee on Code of Conduct, Public Petitions, and for doing a good job, and then always following up on petitions from the public. This is very good, and this will continue to give confidence to the Nigerian public to know that we are serving them. We don't only make laws here, we also think about anything that will benefit them, because injury to one is injury to all. And just like they say in law, ibi jus, ibi remedium. There is no wrong without a remedy. So I thank you for always providing a remedy where there is injury to any Nigerian. Thank you. Leader of the Senate. No, distinguished Senator Yaya, you were trying to raise a point of order.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I would want to see this opportunity you have given me to raise a point of order, Order 42. With your permission, I will read the order. Said, by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise from the explanation. Mr. President, I want to seize this opportunity you have graciously given me to bring the attention of this distinguished Senate to the criminal terrorist abduction of 25 young girls from Government Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga. Yes.
So, distinguished Senator Yaya,
sir,
we had passed the stage of that, so I want us to rather move a motion for us to adopt Order 1B.
Order 1B.
Yes, which enables us to regulate our rules.
Yes, sir.
So that we can.
In this regard, sir, I would like, with your permission, to raise a motion for this distinguished Senate to suspend or invoke Order 1B, so that we would suspend the necessary orders in order to be compliant with the provisions of the rule, in order for us to hear this matter of urgent national importance. I so move, Mr. President.
Yes. Well, the distinguished colleagues, the rules of the Senate are very clear that we do things in sequence. And so when we have passed matter of urgent national importance, we cannot revisit it. But as a result of the exigency, the same rule also made provision that in the event that we find ourselves in difficult circumstances like this, that we can regulate our activities. And that means suspend every other item and then do things in the interest of Nigerians. So if you go to Rule 38, you will see the arrangement of business. Unless the Senate otherwise directs, the business of each sitting shall be transacted in the following order. Formal entry of the President of the Senate, prayers, approval of votes and proceedings, oath and affirmation of allegiance, and oath and affirmation of membership of the new senators elect, message from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, other announcements by the Senate President from time to time, petitions, then 8, matters of urgent public importance. And then 9, we now go into personal explanations. Then by 10, we now start the order of the day. So the moment we go into real business of the day, it means that all the other items can only be taken on the next legislative. Our rule, as provided in section 1B, says that in all cases not provided for in this standing order, that is, distinguished colleagues, I want to put the question. Is it the view of the Senate that in view of the urgency of the matter by Senator Yahya, that we do suspend order 38 and go ahead to invoke order 1B to enable him to bring up this issue? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We have waived the order.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and also express my gratitude to my distinguished and highly respected colleagues of the Senate to have given me this particular opportunity to raise this very important matter. Mr. President, I'm here to bring to the attention of this distinguished
now that you have been given the opportunity, do you still want to come by way of order 42, because you are at liberty to go to 41?
Yes, then because I have this opportunity, I will go by a motion so that debate can follow the report that I'm about to give.
All right. So the Senate has given you the liberty to do as you want.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it. And my people, my state, my governor will also very appreciative of the Senate for giving us this opportunity to bring this matter up in this principal legislative institution of our nation. I want to see this opportunity, Mr. President, to bring to the attention of this distinguished chamber the activity of criminal terrorist groups that invaded Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, which is in Danko, Wasagu local government area, and in Kebbi South Territorial District of Kebbi State. The terrorist group, despite some police action, which was not enough to deter what they were about to do, invaded this girls' school and in the process abducted 25 girls, young girls, killing the vice principal of the school and wounding the principal in the process. This dastardly act was committed by the terrorists yesterday at about 4 p.m. This one-time kidnapping of schoolgirls, Mr. President, is a slap on the face of our nation. The continuous dastardly action of terrorist groups terrorizing our educational institutions and abducting young students not only undermines the quality of our education, but also deters parents from sending their children and wards to school. This kind of action has happened before. In 2022, I think, some girls were kidnapped, also in Kebbi State, in government secondary school in Yauri. It took the state and our people 4 years, 4 good years, to completely get the girls back. And now it is happening again. Mr. President, I feel deeply hurt. This kind of terrorization of our students, our children, must stop. That's why I call this a slap on the face of this nation. We cannot just allow this kind of situation to continue like that. Something must be done. I know that at one point, when there was this security threat in the Kebbi South Territorial District, in particular that area, that school was closed. Some sanity was brought back, and somehow we thought everything there was halal. So the school was reopened again, only for this thing to happen yesterday. This particular matter should be taken very, very seriously by the federal government and our security agencies. We should move immediately to rescue these girls and apprehend the terrorists who had the audacity of carrying out this dastardly operation. While praying for the quick recovery of the wounded principal, I also want this distinguished Senate to observe a minute's silence in honor of the deceased vice principal of this school. I feel, Mr. President, deeply hurt. Indeed, yesterday, when this thing happened, I couldn't sleep. This is not just something happening or affecting Kebbi State, Mr. President. It is a wake-up call for the integrity, but its own children. A nation that cannot secure its own children is not worth living in. Mr. President, let this institution use its weight to appeal to the President and all the security agencies to immediately move no stone unturned to ensure that these girls are rescued and the terrorists apprehended and punished. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity. I also thank the Senate for reversing its normal order of business to give me this opportunity to voice my indignation at what has happened. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. The abduction of the 25 girls in Kebbi State is a dastardly act, condemnable act that we need to, as a parliament that is responsible and responsive to the yearnings and concerns of the people, raise off and speak in unison against the perpetration of this dastardly act of kidnap of our daughters who are in school in pursuit of education for the betterment of their life and development of this country. Security and protection of the lives and property of the people is the primacy of governance. And the social contract that we have, that government has with the people, for the people to surrender their sovereignty to the whims and caprices of the government, is in return for the government to guarantee peace, order, and good governance, and also to protect their lives and property. That is essentially the social contract that government has with the people. I am happy that Mr. President immediately took action by directing the military to go after these terrorists with a view to rescuing these girls back to their respective communities. Of the mandate of the people, and also responsible to the yearnings and concerns of the people, will equally pass a resolution and give muscular support and expression to this motion, so that the relevant authorities will rise up to the occasion and bring back these girls. Because anything short of that, one, it is going to negatively impact enrollment into school and confidence in government. Therefore, I support that this motion should be passed by this parliament without much ado, and commend Mr. President for rising up to the occasion immediately and directing the relevant military.
Distinguished Senator Father.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Adeniwa Fadamsi from Osun East. Well, I wholeheartedly support my colleague, and I wish this students be released on time before they are messed up. But, Mr. President, it seems as if this kidnapping, crime, and the criminality is becoming part and parcel of our culture. We don't even care again about ourselves and about our children. The other time, General Danjuma said, we are at war. We are almost in military rule. Everywhere you see them. And the more Mr. President struggles to finance the military, buy good equipment for them, including police, the more these kidnappings continue. And if you see the cultural aspect of it, you will see that each including is like defense. You have the army. The Air Force has taken the air as their own, which they cannot manage, and they have taken it on their own, including Navy. The police, the crime is spreading every day because they are in charge of crime, which means these people cannot do without crime. Time now that Nigerians, particularly Nigerians, must stand up against this impunity, kidnapping all our children almost every time. The whole country should wake up before we have problems from abroad. The military don't. The brigadier general was murdered in ambush and murdered in Borno. That brigade commander, Mr. President, can we or can they? We have their own is for them. If they cannot go beyond that, they will retire peacefully and go home. Another set will come. Look at the time this Boko Haram has started, long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And we have been having problem. Let us ask them question. And let us give them target and date to clear these people out.
Your Excellency, distinguished senators, my name is Asuko Ekpenyong, Senator representing Cross River South. I rise on this very tragic note, this very gut-wrenching, heartbreaking story of the events that unfolded yesterday. This kind of calamity befell on little school children while on our watch. And I say our watch because we are 7 senators of this federal republic. Where have we gone wrong as a nation? That young students who go to school to seek and acquire knowledge, to develop their communities, to develop agencies. Once again, we have done that severally, but this time in a more determined manner. We ask what resources they require to prosecute this war. We'll step down, or there will be consequences, because we cannot go on like this. We as a Senate, we must be seen to have failed, because if it's not the appropriation of resources for this endeavor, it is in the oversight, the laws that need to be enacted to protect our people, to protect our children. That is the primary responsibility of government, the protection of lives and property. The Senate must wade into this matter very effectively and very determined to make a difference. We trust on the leadership of this nation, we trust on the leadership of this Senate that we are going to make a difference, and that this war and this insecurity that has plagued this nation for over a decade shall come to an end under this administration. Mr. President,
Senator Father Hosi. Okay. Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Mohammed Sani Musa. I rise to contribute to this very important motion. It is very fundamental that we must at the same time praise the armed forces of this country for what they have been doing. But if the truth must be told, the armed forces of this country are overwhelmed. A country of over 230 million with 177,000 men that are ungovernable. We have a lot of forests, nothing is happening. Arable lands, nothing can be done. And this is the consequences of what we are seeing today. We have not closed that. The government is doing everything humanly possible. But I think there is need for all of us now to have a relook, to relook at what we are doing. What has gone wrong, just as my colleague have just said. What has gone wrong? The policies are there. The funding is there. If we have them, are we giving them the opportunity to play a role in our communities? Have we identified these people that are coming to kill our people and kidnap our people? Have we identified where are they? Where are they coming from? If then we know, why is it that we are not doing anything to apprehend these people, to expose them? Not until every one of us, every Nigerian take this law very seriously, to partner with the armed forces, to partner with the government, to see that we expose whoever, no matter the level of your status in society, expose who has a hand in what. We can't continue like this. Every day we will come and bring motion, we set up security committees, we increase funding, and we complain. Why are we not complaining? Why are we complaining? Because it's repeating itself every time again. So, Mr. President, I think it's not just calling the service chiefs. It's for every Nigerian now.
Thank you. Your time is
to
over.
look at himself or herself. Are we doing the right thing? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Musa. I know you show everybody's worried about what happened, but the fact is that the entire country is governed. Nowhere that the government is not able to reach. But these guys, these people, these terrorists, act in a guerrilla fashion. They attack and run away. That is what is happening. But everywhere is being governed. No, it's not an exception, you know. But we find a way to deal with them. Thank you for your contribution, Senator Nengi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Sorry, I can see so many people wanting to speak, so we allocate, we allot 2 minutes for everyone. You can go ahead.
Senator Abdul Nengi, and I represent Bauchi Center of Bauchi State. Mr. President, we are facing an existential threat collectively as people. And by the time we begin to procrastinate against this religion, the event of the last few weeks has proven to all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, region, and religion. And therefore, Mr. President, the more we begin to see ourselves as being victims of these terrorists, the better for all of us. Yesterday, we lost a general, Brigadier General Uba Musa, and the videos being circulated. And 24 hours after, you saw what happened in Kebbi. What we are missing is infallibility to keep getting at us. Now we have been saddled with a responsibility going forward. Are these terrorists appeasable? Can we reach out to them? There are one school of thought who imagined that these terrorists could be reached and then discussions take place. There is another school of thought who thinks that these terrorists should be met with all the force. And that is the entanglement, Mr. President, we are in. It took the parliament like ours to come up and tell this government whether we can appease these terrorists or that we can go after these terrorists. Lives have been lost. Imagine if any one of us has a daughter now in captivity in Kebbi. Will you be sleeping? Is it possible for you to survive when your own daughter is taken? And because these daughters are not ours, we begin to be political and lackadaisical in meeting the expectations of our people. It's a bad day for me, sir. I rest my...
I represent Sokoto South Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me join my leader and elder brother by also lending my voice in support of this motion and commiserating with the people and government. Indeed, also condole with the family of General Uba Musa and all of those who have lost their lives in the course of this heinous crime. Mr. President, as you know, I am from Sokoto State, sister state to Kebbi. By the glory of God and the trust of the people of Sokoto State, I presided over the affairs of Sokoto State for 8 years, and it was from there that I came here. While there, on the saddle of leadership of that state, I was deeply involved in facing situations like this. Mr. President, we cannot afford to play politics with issues of security. Security remains one of the key and most important ingredient for the survival of any community. And once there is a security threat, it is expected that all of the members of a particular community should come together and bond and face that threat. That is what I expect from this parliament. That's what I expect from Nigerians. We must de-emphasize the issues of religion. Do that. The tendency is that we are falling into the trap of enemies of this country. And we know ourselves, bond together and make sure that we move side by side in facing and confronting all of these challenges facing this country. Mr. President, this is a very serious matter. It has been recurring, and in Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, Plateau, Benue, many parts, virtually every part of Nigeria today is facing one form of insecurity or the other. And unless we're able to come together and work together, we may not find solution to it. I admonish the government of Kebbi State to maybe borrow a leaf from what we did during our service in Sokoto State. We were forced by the circumstances of that time to relocate so many schools, merge some boarding schools, and deboard some of the schools. Maga is in Zuru Emirate, and Zuru Emirate has been facing this very particular challenge over time. Some of these schools, and making some of them where they have day schools as day schools, and then taking some of them out of security-prone areas, prone areas, to a safer environment. I believe that will help. And I call on federal government to go back to what we have been saying. As governors of Northern Nigeria then, we have been calling for concerted and coordinated fight. Their template of attacking these bandits, either in Kebbi or in Zamfara, or in Katsina, or Niger, or Plateau, or Benue, in silos, will not work. It's not working. It has to be a coordinated effort, and making sure that maybe it's done simultaneously.
The former Senate President, Senator Amelon.
I represent Yobeno Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me join my colleagues to sympathize with people and government of Kebbi State, and indeed the people of Nigeria. Mr. President, in 2014, the federal government of Nigeria, a former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, who then worked with Global Business Coalition for Education, was also in Nigeria to work with our leaders' environments in our schools. Mr. President, some money was contributed by the UN. Then, as soon as he took off, I think it went down. What has happened in MAGA is simply the kind of situation that we face in almost every part of it. Was murdered in Borno State. A general and his team who are working, fighting insurgency, fighting to protect us. It is very important here, Mr. President, that we address the security situation very squarely. This administration is making a lot of investment in the security sector. I believe that with a lot of money, funds, and resources going into our armed forces, we should be asking for better outcomes. We should be looking at time frames. It shouldn't be an endless war against the insurgents. Can we really afford to fund our armed forces and other security agencies better, given the fact that we now have more revenues than before, and insist on value for money? Or else we look for others who can do it better. I also want to suggest that the relevant committees of the Senate investigate what has happened to the safe school initiatives, because this program was at the beginning working, but no one talks about it anymore. What can we do to protect our children and wards when they go to school? Mr. President, Nigeria has been taking more than 40, 50 years back educationally because of the insurgency factor in northern Nigeria. And I said Nigeria has been taken back, not northern Nigeria, because what happens in any part of our country affects the other parts. And it is very important that because these children are our future, we have to do everything possible. Come up with something that will ensure that parents feel comfortable, feel that their children will be protected when they go to school. Otherwise, the dropouts, the withdrawal of kids from schools will continue, and the future of Nigeria will be compromised. I want to thank the president and commend him actually for asking the military or armed forces to go after these people. But time is of essence here for armed forces. As parents, nobody will sleep if their kids are not returned and returned safely. So we have to push as a parliament how far we can push in terms of funding, how far we will continue to insist on getting value for money. Not only on this, but on other situations that have just reared their heads. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Now, we don't have much time remaining, but I will give one minute to Senator Oji Kalu and Senator Victor Ume so that we can go to the prayers. So 1 minute.
Heart goes to the government and people of Kebbi State on what happened yesterday. The issue is that most state executives are not putting enough time in pursuing security. Security is not only federal government issue. We have many people that were governors here. I would like this Senate to discuss with the governors forum, because most governors have not put, security is not only the job of federal government. I was governor from 1999 to, we went out of, every blame is on the federal government. No, I never blame Obasanjo for one day as a governor. I took the challenge in my hand to face out all criminals out of Abia State, and I went to help Anambra State. I went to help other states around that area. I believe our governors have a lot of input to do in this. Not only the military, keeping our gears.
Thank you. Time is off. The time is off. The message is gotten. Thank you, Senator Ume. You have the floor. 1 minute so that we can hear from Senator Lalong being a former
thank you, Mr. President.
chairman of Northern Government Forum, and then we round up with Senator Adam Oshomole. I'm sorry, we need 1 more minute because time is off. Please.
Thank you, this issue is one that many people don't want to contribute to anymore. Such matters come to this chamber.
Something.
But there are ones that you will see, you must be constrained to talk. They were kidnapped yesterday or thereabouts. They didn't vanish to the thin air when they were taken away. They were taken away, they're still on the ground, being moved about. So I believe that the security agencies should deploy technology. Even from far places, you can locate these children where they are. The technology we have today makes it possible for tracking to be done. So we are talking, a day has gone, next 2 days, these girls will not be found. So the security agencies should deploy everything. The armed forces cannot protect every security mapping.
Very good point. People of Kebbi State and especially Nigeria. Mr. President, I was going to ask first, what has the girl child done wrong to people in Nigeria? The girl child. Because this offense mostly, this criminal act is mostly the issue of Leah, whom I kept the parents in Plateau State for a very long time. Mr. President, I want to emphasize the point led by the former Senate President. What is wrong with the Safe School program? I was a member of the Safe School program, Mr. President, and that went a lot in helping to secure schools. It was also funded by the World Bank. So if today, under Federal Ministry of Education, so today, emphasize the position of Mr. Senate President that we must have an emergency security summit to review most of these things. Otherwise, the same criminal attitudes are reoccurring in Nigeria. And unfortunately, the victim is a girl child. Are we saying that we don't want the girls to be educated? Will be unfortunate if we say we scare girls from going to school, especially in the northern aspect. So I will also move that this matter be seen as a matter of national emergency. National emergency before we go into another Chibok case. God forbid. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, distinguished colleagues, this is a very serious issue, and it has happened. I've listened to everybody and your contributions. It's like a recurring decimal. The last time we were about to have election, Chibok girls were kidnapped, and so many. There were far more than this. And then at that time, we were in denial as government, because we were saying, how can they take 100, 200 or whatever girls and move and nobody sees? What did they use in conveying them? But after weeks and weeks of going back and forth, we finally discovered that, yes, indeed, it happened. So now, we are now faced with another one. And coming at a time like this, when there is a lot of focus by the international community on Nigeria, I think it's important that at the Security Summit, to get the views of Nigerians, compile them, and then come up in December when we are doing the National Security Summit. I understand all the zones right now are handling their zonal security summits. Am I right? Yeah, I saw on television when you did the Northeast. I don't know, I'll get the dates from you. The one of Northwest was postponed to Monday, I think. Not Monday. Northwest is Saturday. South. South is on Thursday and all that. So I would like us to actually just discuss in the market. But further discussions and inputs and suggestions should be in a closed session. And if you don't mind, let's spare a few minutes and have a closed session, because it's a very serious issue that will affect not just the today situation. So prayer 1, the Senate condemns in totality this dastardly act of kidnapping and violence against our children, our educational institutions, and prayer 2, urge the federal government and all security agencies to immediately take all the necessary steps to apprehend these criminals, the terrorists, and do everything possible to rescue these abducted children without further delay. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, commiserate with the government of Kebbi State and urge the governor to leave no stone unturned in his efforts to secure the relief. Nobody should relent, so that we can get good news in the next few days. So the prayer 4, observe a minute silence for the death of the vice principal of the school, who was unfortunately killed. The ayes have it. We should also, prayer 5, pray for the quick recovery of the wounded principal, and of course the wounded students, if any, and pray also for their safe return to their parents in the quickest possible time. Those in support of this last prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Time and time again, we have on the floor of this Senate and outside this Senate, and even during the electioneering campaign, but the size of the Nigerian army is exactly what it was. So my prayer is this.
The additional prayer is that time and time again, we have gone.
Yes.
Urge the Senate time and time again to do what?
No, urge the Nigerian Armed Forces and the Commander-in-Chief to recruit additional 1,000 men into the Nigerian army, so that we have enough men and women in uniform to cover the entire country. And number 2, that we probe the amount disbursed in the name of Safe School Program. How much was spent? Who collected the money? What did they do with it? Because now we have seen, Mr. President, as additional prayer, people are turned security to a business. So we should not monetize the death of people by those who are living by appropriating funds in the name of protecting schools, and as we know now, the schools are not protected. What happened to the money?
So your prayer 3?
Yes, sir.
Is that we should urge the Safe School Program to continue by ensuring
to continue.
The recruitment.
No, to probe what has happened to the money.
No, you had 2 legs. One
Sir,
is that
it's a motion of 2 legs. One is to recruit additional 1,000 men and women into the Nigerian army.
You had 2 legs. You had 2 legs. You had 2 legs.
Yes, sir. I have 2 legs, sir. Left and right.
You had 2 legs to your contribution. At least 1,000 additional personnel.
No, 100,000.
Or 100,000 additional personnel to ensure the protection of schools.
That is army. Because the chief of army staff said they have 177,000 men. I think we should have at least 100,000 more to make it 277,000. This point was raised by Senator Sani. Let it be captured in our prayer that we want additional 100,000 men and women to be in 1980. Every year, our population is growing at 3%, and therefore our armed forces numbers should increase in addition to the deployment of appropriate tracking technology.
So the first prayer is that we should urge the president, commander in chief personnel,
yes, Mr. President,
into the armed forces,
it will be, sir, I have always had reform them. This is better than providing tokens to people. These are jobs that will reduce a lot of young men out of the unemployment market. It will be money well spent, even if somebody else has to give.
Immediately ensure the recruitment of at least 100,000 personnel,
yes, sir,
into the armed forces. No, it's at least, he's saying at least it's a motion, at least 100,000 personnel into the armed forces to cater for the security of the nation in view of the exponential that we should look into
safe school
that
program.
The Senate, we are urging the Senate to look into the issue or the money voted for safe school program and now they were utilized.
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Any seconder? I don't know which one, but any seconder? Any seconder? Huh? DSP, go ahead.
I think there's need for guidance here. He ought to have crafted his motion in the way that it will be well understood. Put it together and then you read it so that somebody will second. Just write it, couch it very well, and then somebody will second. Because there are two motions together.
Sorry. DSP, Clerk of the Senate, give.
Thank you, sir. Except that DSP, you remember the House leader reminded us.
It's the practice of the Senate that when you have additional prayer, you should write it out. While he's writing, is there any other additional prayer? No. Distinguished colleagues, while you have additional prayer, even after it has been concluded, the staff here will still give you a plain sheet, so you can author it for the purpose of our votes and proceedings. You must write it out. Let me quickly thank distinguished Senator Yaya, our leader, for bringing this issue to the fore and to say that it's really a matter. I haven't got much details, but I know that this must have been an educational institute that was not limited to one religion. So I'm sure that the place must have been full of both Christians and Muslims. And so, on religious basis, should note that a bullet, whether it is straight or direct, has no religious inclination. So for me, it's important for the nation to be safe, irrespective of your religion. So we should work together. Distinguished Senator Tamboa, we should work together to ensure the safety of lives and properties without trying to emphasize on religious connotation. I think that should be the focus of this parliament and the focus of Nigerians. So do not, because not only do we intermarry on a daily basis, we intervisit on a daily basis. So there is no need for you to say, oh, some may decide to target Muslims, some may decide to target Christians, but Nigerians are the ones being targeted. So our job here is to work diversity. And there are atheists who do not believe in any religion. There are all sorts of people. So it's important that we work for the safety of all Nigerians, irrespective of religious bias. It's very, very important. So please, when things like this happen, when any part of the world, if it is possible, we don't want violence in even West Africa, if it is possible. So the entire country, we want the country to be safe for all Nigerians. And that is why they elected us here, to make laws, resolutions, and take steps to ensure that we, in line with our constitutional duties, that lives and properties are safe. And for those who may have that God has made possible to bind all of us together, is that whether you are a Caucasian, whether you are a black, whether you are whatever tribe you belong to, when you cut your skin, what comes out is red blood. The red blood is to signify that we are all from the same parentage, that we are all from the same genealogy, and we are all human beings, and we should protect one another. So it's important that we note that in our daily activities, and then do not bring things out.
Can I read?
Before you read it, allow the leader to extend the time within which we should sit in case we end up arguing beyond the time.
Mr. President, I'm standing under Order 8.3, seeking for the extension of time beyond 3 o'clock. I so move.
Yes, the minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that will extend time to enable us conclude our items on the agenda. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do extend our time from 11 to 3, beyond 3 p.m. to enable us conclude the day's proceedings. You may proceed with your additional prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate this privilege. I move that the Senate urged Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to order the Nigerian Army to recruit additional 100,000 men and women into the Nigerian Army, trained and equipped to be able to cope with the exponential increase in our population. Urge the Senate.
Thank you. That's
is the military. More than 100.
No, just more personal. Not giving him number.
No, but the moment you said at least, any second.
This is in view of the exponential increase in our population.
Don't worry. I don't want it to be a leadership thing. Can we have Amos, the Senator Amos, Your Honor?
Thank you, Mr. President.
But the Senator Amos, Your Honor, has not spoken today.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I am Amos Yohana. I represent the Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We urge to direct the Nigerian Army the Nigerian military to recruit at least 100,000 men and women and be equipped. I so second.
Any time frame?
So I think it should be as soon as possible because we cannot order the president. We urge him, and he will know that this is something urgent. And the young men and women are all over the country roaming around unemployed. They'll be quite happy to. Just last week, sir, I heard that in Ghana, people were trying to join the army. So it's not in Nigeria.
A motion has been moved and seconded that we should urge the President Commander-in-Chief to take steps to order the Nigerian army into various arms of the military to assist in combating terrorism and insecurity. as soon as possible. Those in support of the additional prayer,
Each committee, relevant committees, and the federal government to investigate the funds appropriated as well as those released under the Safe School program. Because right now there is no evidence.
Just a prayer, not
That's why I don't need to justify it, right? Urge the Senate Committee, appropriate committee of Defense, Navy, Army, no, not Defense. The Federal Ministry of Education to investigate, and the Senate to investigate the use of the funds that were appropriated both through national budget and through foreign donors like the World Bank, under a program called Safe School Program, and report to the Senate as soon as possible. The last one is on technology. Yeah, to employ technology, another relevant modern, employ trackers, another related modern technology, and even artificial intelligence to be able to enhance the capacity of our agencies to track and prevent these heinous crimes. I so move, sir.
Distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawan.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I raise my hand to just correct the second additional prayer. Instead of leaving it wide open by saying appropriate committees or relevant committees, the Safe School initiatives is based in the Federal Ministry of Finance. That itself was an anomaly. It shouldn't have been there. It should have been in the Ministry of Education. So if we are setting up, if we are giving our committees responsibility, first, Committee on Finance needs to be there, Committee on Education needs to be there. So we need to be specific so that we know who and who are going to handle this, and then give them time. So I just want him to, Education Committee is more appropriate, because most of the issues under the Safe School initiatives is about skewering the basic education, the secondary schools largely, but we can make it because the program is based in the Federal Ministry of Finance, Mr. President.
Thank you. I think the problem Nigeria has, or has always had, is there anything that has to do with money? Some people try to use their influence to appropriate that program to themselves. I don't see personally how Safe School program will go and be a Ministry of Finance that does not oversight education. So what they are saying is news to me. So for my brother Adams, you don't need to stand up. We will take the burden off you now, because it is not the federal government that will look into it. It is the Senate. Our work is to oversight. So if a program has already been undertaken by the federal government, whether now or in the past, it is the job of the parliament to oversight. And so it's our job to investigate. So what the idea you have brought is that we should investigate the funding and the expenditure of the Safe School program. Now, which is to order maybe we set up an ad hoc committee and put the relevant committees of the Senate Finance, Education, Defense, Army, this to immediately investigate the funding of the Safe School program and why it has failed to ensure safety in schools. Please bring that as an additional program.
Thank you, Mr. President. You captured the entire thing very well. We are to investigate, but not to urge the federal government. I move that this August Senate create an ad hoc committee.
Exactly.
Consisting of committee on finance or relevant committees. All relevant committees. Thank you very much. To investigate the Safe School initiative. I so move.
Senator Tambua.
Mr. President, my colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Deputy President of the Senate. I so second.
It's very important that you find you contribute to this ad hoc committee because you were once the governor, and as a key member of the or not it has achieved its purpose in view of this current incident of the kidnap of our school children and the killing of this vice principal. Those in support of this motion that the Senate should immediately set up an ad hoc committee to look into, I don't want to use the word probe, to look into the funding, the expenditure. We will set up the Safe School Program Committee Investigative Panel immediately to look into the situation. And we are in sympathy with what has happened. But please be reminded that Nigeria is a very large country with 36 states and the FCT. Also be reminded that it is not possible to have even one policeman per polling unit during election because we don't have the personnel. And then, of course, our security services are stretched. And these people are going to soft targets. They go to places that we are not expecting at all. And also, there is no society without crime. Even the almighty America has crime on a daily basis. So, but we must do our best to minimize crime, to reduce crime to the barest minimum. And it is not peculiar to any particular regime. Crime is crime. Crime is crime. It doesn't matter the administration. For the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we sympathize with the agony. We sympathize with the families for the agony they are passing through. We sympathize with those who are young children that are probably in very uncomfortable situation right now, wherever they are taken to. And we urge the not just relevant committees this time, we urge the armed forces across board, including individuals, they have been traumatized. And may we now rise to observe a 1 minute silence in honor of the vice principal, the heroic vice principal, who in the attempt to stop any harm coming upon those children was dastardly killed, as the Senate has already condemned such. Let's observe 1 minute silence for the repose of the soul of that principal. The soul of our fellow Nigerian vice principal of the school, who died in the cause of protecting the children, rest in perfect peace.
Yeah, point of order. Mr. President, in line with the resolve under Order 1B, I will move that we do an additional prayer to the repose of the souls of Brigadier General Uba and other.
Senator Izunaso.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Osita Izunaso. I represent Imo West. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by Senator Ningi, that we will include the name of Brigadier General Oba and other military officers that were killed in this motion. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, painfully and mournfully, I have to put the question. Those in support that we observed insurgents yesterday in Borno State, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let us observe a minute silence. In honor of their souls. May the souls of Brigadier General Oba and other gallant officers who were murdered yesterday by terrorists in Borno State rest in perfect peace. Amen. Of the Senate. Move for executive session briefly. Executive session. Executive session.
Yeah, Mr. President, before moving for executive session, it will be in order for me to step down the fifth order of the day, the motion standing in the name of Senator Anthony Okorie for another legislative day. I so move, Mr. President.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that we step down the fifth item on the order paper for the next legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion will be moved and seconded that the fifth item on the order paper be stepped down to another legislative day. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is stepped down. Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion that we go into executive session to discuss very important issue. I so move.
Closed session, right? Closed session.
Closed session.
Yes, the minority leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate dissolves into a closed session to discuss vital matters. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion will be moved and seconded that we do go into closed session to discuss other national issues. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.